My Life in Letters, we are back on the phone today from Chicago, Illinois, although she just told me she's actually originally from Everett, Washington. We have Merlot. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice. I'm really thankful to have you on the show for a lot of reasons. The work you're doing is pretty prolific, if I could say so. And then you're also a really amazing person, good friend. And so, yeah, we're just really honored to have you on. And thanks for taking the time, especially it is 8 a.m. in Chicago right now. So thanks again.
Of course, yeah. No, I'm super excited to be a part of it. You've had some really amazing people in the past. So, yeah, I'm just honored.
Cool. Thank you. And we had talked a couple of times before the interview about maybe the way that I would structure it. And I don't want to frame this entire episode around your gender, but it's like it's just sort of it's the elephant in the room, I think, sometimes. And, I've talked about this with a lot of people, just about how masculine the culture is that we're a part of. And so I look forward to learning more about how you navigate within the sort of graffiti culture and the graffiti community at large. But before we get there, that we like to start early in people's lives. I'm curious because I know that you have graphic design chops, you're an art director, you clearly are a painter. And so what I like to find out from people is that early experience with letter or with writing or something like that maybe it created like a fascination with you that has led to this thing that you've continued to do throughout your adult life.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of always grew up around a lot of graffiti. Being from Seattle, my dad went to prison when I was really young, and my mom kind of struggled with a drug and alcohol problem. So I was really in and out of a lot of foster homes in Seattle, and kind of being in kind of some of the worst areas. It was kind of always something that I saw and noticed. However, I didn't really think too much of it, mainly because at that age, I'm still kind of figuring myself out and kind of really just trying to live. I mean, it got to a point where I was seeing it a lot, and it wasn't until probably until high school. So around sixth grade, I was lucky enough to kind of move in with my aunt and kind of have a more stable lifestyle. So I moved from Seattle back up to Everett, Washington. And so I stayed with her throughout middle school and high school. And it wasn't really until high school that I started getting more into learning about graffiti. I met some guys that were very into graffiti. They were going out all the time painting clubs and let go. And I was always into art, but graffiti was still somewhat new to me, and they kind of helped introduce me to that culture.
Way prior to all of that, were you also, it's a really funny thing that has come up in numerous interviews, girl writing. And so and these girl bubble letters. And so several guys that I've interviewed, before they knew anything about graffiti, somehow girls at their school were doing these like little cute bubble letters with hearts dotting the I, but they were bubbles. They weren't just straight letters. And, I've been digging a little bit into like where that came from. Before high school, do you remember interest in lettering prior to graffiti?
Yeah, no, I remember like doing posters for school and being very into kind of making those kind of bubble letters. I was never really great at, I don't know what you're calling like the girl bubble letter.
Yeah.
I felt like my style wasn't girly, and I remember seeing like other girls that would like their handwriting and their letter style was very girly and kind of lended itself to that. My style was I was better at doing like straight letters and doing some very structured letters for posters, and I was super into doing that.
What were those posters for?
For school. So for any sort of projects that we would like present, we would always
like science
do some big
fair
poster
or something.
boards.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, nice. And so would you use those as like, I mean, did you do them because you wanted to do them, or did you do them because you really enjoyed it?
I think I went pretty all out. I was super into doing crafts and things like that. So not only was I kind of spending time doing a lot of the lettering, but I love doing like the collage and kind of stuff like that on the posters as well.
Nice.
And yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with them.
So you told me before the show you were born in 88. We do like to try to keep a somewhat of a tight timeline. Actually, you had said that you were seeing graffiti. So in Seattle, do you have a memory of any of that graffiti, or was it sort of like just in the background throughout your childhood?
it was really just in the background. Like I wish I could actually go back and remember exactly what I was seeing. I feel like my past is such a blur to me, and like anything in my childhood is just a huge blur. It's hard to really kind of get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
But no, I just remember seeing it. I don't remember exactly who was up and who was doing it back then though.
Was there? I know. I'm presuming Everett is a suburb.
Hmm.
And was there graffiti there when you left Seattle?
Um, there was a little bit. So there wasn't much, and I feel like I feel like I would only see a couple little tags that I would never know who they are.
Hmm.
But no, there's definitely not much in Everett, especially at that point when I started living with my aunt.
Yeah.
Wasn't seeing any. Once I started actually kind of getting to know the culture a little bit more and starting to like know what's out there, I did start seeing a little bit more,
Hmm.
and I would start noticing people that I knew that were tagging on things. But it wasn't really at that point in my life. I wasn't really seeing as much.
Sure. Yeah. Were you an artistically sort of engaged kid? Especially, I wonder if you were doing art throughout those sort of blurry years before you moved in with your aunt.
Yeah, no, I've always loved art, and it was kind of something that I'd go home and do on my own if I had time at home. I mean, mainly it was like a way to get away with a lot of the stuff that was happening in the past.
Yeah.
I remember, I think I I only went to like fourth grade for like a week. Like I think that I was kind of skipping class all the time, and if
Mhm.
I was going to class, it was to steal some art supplies so I can go home and draw.
Nice.
But no, yeah, I've always been super into it. It's been kind of my outlet. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it wasn't really until later on in life that I started developing like a love for like letters.
So talk about that. Like, what kind of like love for letters were you experiencing?
Well, I was seeing a lot of, I think my love for letters started more so in high school when I was seeing a lot of my friends kind of drawing, and I was seeing books with letters in them. I started learning about graphic design within when I was in art class. I took advanced placement art class, and I remember reading a lot about like design and seeing a lot of packaging, and I was seeing some people doing like hand drawn letters, and I remember it just always really fascinated me. And I did some like my senior project on screen printing, and I would learn more about like screen printing letters on posters and things like that.
And that's awesome. And so, like in your AP classes in high school, they had access to screens and they taught you how to do that.
They didn't, but they had books and things like that I
Ah,
could learn about, and I
okay.
found ways and found connections through teachers that knew people that I was able to really learn and test that out.
When did you say you first started noticing clubs and let go? Was that your freshman year?
Yeah, well, I met clubs in the very end of middle school, so the end of eighth grade, and then we reconnected in freshman year. And he was really good friends with Letco because they painted together.
And were they painting in eighth grade?
Oh yeah, like they
Nice.
they they were already painting in middle school. They were going out, and I remember just being so excited. Like when I would go out, and I would like my aunt would be driving, and I would see like under a bridge a huge clubs piece, or
Nice.
it was super exciting to me, and I really wanted to embrace that a little bit more.
What do you think you found so exciting about it at that time in eighth grade?
Just that it was like a new and different art form. Like I've always been so secluded to just like the pen and paper, and it was just something that was so new and colorful and
Hmm.
fun to look at, and it was like exciting because you shouldn't be doing it, and so
Ah,
something
so
about
you knew
that.
that it was kind of an illegal thing, and it was not that it was there was some element of danger to it, and that also drew you to it.
Yeah, no, it really did. And I remember in high school, while didn't really explore going out and painting in high school because I was still more so I was focused on studying and really just being a good student,
Mhm.
that I did get like a black book, and I started drawing a lot. I remember every class I'd be drawing and trying to start kind of forming letters. I think I started writing swirl, I think, in high school.
Ooh,
And so I'd always draw
swirl.
like swirl pieces, and it really just consisted of like 10,000 arrows trying to form a letter. It was terrible. Uh,
Oh, okay, so hold on. So I want to go back. Can you tell us a bit about Clubs and Let Go? Like, did those guys continue to paint?
yeah, I think they continue to paint. They still paint. Maybe not as much these days, but they're still friends of mine, and I feel like they were always great artists. Like aside from doing their graffiti, like if you saw their artwork, they're amazing. And I think that also kind of is what inspired me so much. And I feel like they were always ones to really push the boundary with their pieces.
Mm,
And I feel like in the Seattle culture, I was seeing so much bombing and so many you'd see pieces here and then, but I feel like they were really coming out with these great pieces all the time.
yeah.
And that's kind of what made me, when I did start painting, I really started focusing on piecing. I did bombing as well. I tagged on a lot of things, but I was really into like really piecing and really putting together something of quality.
Nice. And so you also said that Clubs and Let Go were really great artists. What other kind of artwork were you seeing of theirs?
They would do anything from oil, acrylic, charcoal painting. Um, they were just good at anything they picked up. I
Hmm,
remember just thinking like, wow, like they're super inspiring on every level to me.
that's awesome.
So it was just great being surrounded by a couple people that really knew their stuff and was good at what they did and was able to kind of teach me. Yeah.
And so would you say that they did that? They mentored you like early on? I mean, you said you met Clubs in eighth grade, and you
Mhm.
stayed friends to this day. Did he show you some ropes? Was there some mentorship there?
There was, and it was more so it wasn't like going out, but it was more so teaching me about the culture, telling me about some of the people in the scene. Like they would go to art shows all the time. They'd take the bus from Everett to Seattle and go to some really cool art shows, telling me about all these artists. And I remember just really just starting to take a following through MySpace. I think those were the MySpace days where I was
Nice.
following all these artists and getting super into it. I remember talking to a lot of artists on MySpace and trying to just get familiar with the culture through that.
And what was that like? You met Clubs in 98 when you were in eighth grade. I'm sorry, in 2001, I was taking it when you were in eighth grade. Is that right? So
Yes,
then
I
you
believe
started
that's
high school in 2003.
yes.
Okay. And so, is that when you got onto MySpace? I'm super curious about your MySpace introduction to more graffiti. What were you seeing on MySpace?
I feel like I was seeing a lot, like, and I think I was seeing a lot more than graffiti. I was seeing a lot of character artists and character street artists
Hmm.
that I was following. And I remember, I think it was huge. Social media was huge to me. I think it might just be my generation, but I loved it. And because I didn't have a car or a way to get to Seattle or a way to really get out, and my aunt and uncle were pretty strict about me going out, that it was my way of still trying to connect with that scene a little bit.
Mm.
And I remember even like there was this girl that was in Seattle, and I loved her work. So she wrote 179, and she did letters, and she did characters, and she was awesome. And I think I connected with her through MySpace, and she would send me stickers, and it was just it's
Nice.
really exciting to me, and it was just kind of a fun way to get to know people
Hmm.
in a different way. And I think there's a few people that I connected with on MySpace that I'm super great friends with to this day.
That's awesome. 179, is she still writing
Yeah,
or
she is.
painting? Yeah.
Yeah, she's an amazing artist, and I think that when I actually started painting, I was painting with her a lot, and I got to know a lot of people through her. And she's just inspired me kind of throughout the way and taught me a lot of things. But yeah, no, I still will paint with her to this day.
That's
So.
cool. And we've talked about a few of these people. Do you have Instagram accounts for them? Are Clubs and Let Go on Instagram?
They don't. They don't
They're
have
not.
Instagram. They never were into the whole social media thing,
Hmm.
so they never really got into that.
What about?
179,
Yeah.
she has one. It's just at 179 spelled out.
Yeah, I think that we should. I'm going to try to get that on more interviews so people can find these people. What I want to go back to is Swirl. So Swirl and 10,000 arrows to make a piece or make a letter. When did you first start writing Swirl?
So, um, I think it was at like towards the end of freshman year, and I remember sitting in like some of the bleachers in the gym with Clubs and Let Go, and we all kind of had our black books out, and I remember wanting to write something, and I had no idea, and I remember just asking like, what do I write? Like I don't know how to come up with a name. I've never done this, and it was actually I think Club's idea. He told me he should write and I should write swirl, and he even painted like he started drawing a swirl piece to kind of give me inspiration.
Hmm.
And I remember that's kind of just where I got that from.
I'm curious also about those guys. Who brought them up? Who brought up Clubs and Let Go? Do you remember who their mentors were?
I don't remember too much. I know that Let Go was painting a lot with ASIC, but I don't know. I don't know exactly how they were brought up.
Do you know what crew they wrote?
I know Clubs and Let Go are both RTD.
Mm,
Like
okay.
Clubs is also Creatures,
Okay.
and I think they're both KC, which is this London crew.
And so did you get put down in any of those when you were swirling?
No, I didn't. I
No.
think that I've never been a real big crew person.
Yeah. In fact, when
I've
I was
also never been
introing you,
asked.
I didn't like I don't know anything other than like I mean alphabet monsters or we'll get to all that stuff. But okay, and so you just weren't asked, but that didn't deter you. You were just like whatever, I'm going to keep doing this thing. And were you in your black book a lot because you're talking about the bleachers and
Hmm.
starting to write? Did you practice a lot early on paper?
Oh yeah, like I think that after that, I think I started pretty much drawing throughout a lot of my classes, and that's kind of all I would all I would do, and a lot of the kids would see it. And I think it got to the point where I was doing it so much that a lot of the kids were asking me if I would draw their names for them, and I used to charge them. So I used to charge, I
Nice.
think like $2 to $5 for a sketch, and I think I started doing that a lot, and that would help actually pay for lunch.
Awesome. And so people would just say, "Hey, just do my name," and you would just like do it on a sheet of paper and hand it off.
Yeah, and most of the times,
Nice.
like I wish I had something from back then so I could see, but I don't think you could actually read someone's name in it. Like I think it literally was just arrows on a piece of paper.
Really? And like what was the so I know you're looking at Clubs and Let Go for style ideas. And like that first swirl piece that Clubs gave you, did that is there do you remember what that style looked like?
Yeah, I actually still have it.
Nice. So what was it? What's
Um,
the style if you can tell us?
it was I felt like it was not really his style. I feel like he was trying to give it a more girly style. Like it was very
Ah.
bubbly. There was actually in the S kind of made a swirl.
Hmm.
I think that he was trying to do something that would be maybe easy enough for me to kind of start with. And I don't think it was done well because he was a experienced artist and he had been drawing for a while. But it was definitely like in a different style.
Do you see any of that early stuff in your work now?
Not real. I mean, I do arrows now and I love doing arrows.
Just not 10,000 of them.
Just not 10,000 of them, but it's kind of fun when I give myself that challenge of like how many arrows can I fit in this piece,
Ah,
and a
nice.
lot of them are just random. But I guess I've always loved drawing arrows, so I like incorporating them into my pieces,
Mhm.
but they're also sometimes nice without them. So
Yeah. And how long did you play with the name Swirl?
um, I I played with the name Swirl until after high school, until I actually went out and started painting graffiti.
So for 4 years of high school, you kind of just kept it on paper?
Yes, it was
Hmm.
pretty much on paper. I experiment with tagging, but then I started tagging in school, which is kind of a no-no. And and I remember just yeah, like I would tag on the desk or like something on a little corner, and then I kind of just was like, you know what, I'm just not even gonna. I feel really bad, and so so I just kind of kept it to paper.
And what was the rest of the school like? You've mentioned, that there were a couple different guys there and you,
Hmm.
and this is in Everett, correct?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so what else was happening at school? Were there other writers?
Um, I mean, I had a friend, and he wrote Amber, AMBR.
Hmm.
Um, he didn't really write though. He was more so into doing like characters, and so he would do those a lot, and that was super inspiring to me. And he would always tell me about all these different character artists around, and so I got to know kind of more of the character street art as well as like the graffiti. Aside from them, I don't think there was really anyone else in my high school that wrote. I
Hmm.
mean, we lived in Everett, and I feel like it was a little different than Seattle. I'm sure in Seattle there would be a lot of people in school that would
Sure.
write,
Yeah.
but in Everett there definitely wasn't many people coming out of there writing.
What high school was it?
Cascade High School.
So throughout those years of high school, you were drawing. Do you think that you were doing like important sort of like fundamentals, like learning how to make letter forms that kind of looked good? Like, did you work out a lot of the kinks on paper before you got to spray paint, or was it like starting over when you got your first cans in your hand and hit a wall?
It was definitely starting over.
Hmm.
Like, I don't even think I took any of the techniques that I learned from drawing on paper and put them on the wall. Like, it was a completely different style. It just was way different.
Yeah. Did you
The
use
whole
any?
different medium.
I'm sorry to
Go
cut
ahead.
you off. Did you use paint pens on paper?
Yes, I did. I think I was doing deco colors, but it wasn't really on paper. I think that I was drawing on like purses and things like that.
Oh
Like,
man, wish you had photos
yeah,
of that stuff. I bet you some of that stuff is actually really cool.
yeah, I wish I did
Because
too.
I just remember a couple friends of mine. They actually learned how to cut back by using paint markers before they had ever painted a wall. And so then when they went
Oh,
to the wall, they were like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I used that bottom color and cut back with it, and it cleans up that line." I wonder if those years of doing deco stuff, did you? Or actually, you said that you didn't really take any of your drawing techniques to the wall. So would that include cutting back? You didn't understand that
yeah,
concept yet.
I didn't understand that concept
Mm.
yet, and I mean maybe like some things like, oh, I did some bubbles here. Okay, I'll do some bubbles on the wall. Like
Sure.
maybe
Yeah.
little things like that. But as far as anything more in depth, no, I didn't really take much to it.
And so it was after high school. And if I can just keep it straight, did you graduate in 2007?
2006.
2006. And so what do you attribute the first year of writing for you as?
I think my first, so I consider my first year probably 2007.
Hmm.
So I think between 2006 and 2007, I was just out of high school, and I was in this weird spot where I just wanted to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I think I started taking classes at a local community college for dental hygiene, and I hated it. And I would just go home and I'd work on paintings, and then I would be like, okay, is this really what I want to do? And I kind of lost touch with my high school friends that were writing.
Hmm.
And this was like a year of kind of just me kind of exploring and figuring shit out. And it wasn't till 2007 that I was like, I'm not doing this dental hygiene stuff. And
Good choice.
I I called one of my I think I called Let Go, and I was like, you got to take me out painting. And literally, I think the next day we all met up, me, him, and a couple other guys, and he took me to some really cool bridge spot that was right on the water. And I painted my first piece, which was terrible.
And what was that? What was the piece?
So I started writing roars, Roers, and my
Hmm.
first piece was a big character. I don't even remember what it was, but it was this big pink face and the teeth spelled out roars.
Yes.
It was so bad.
That's so good, actually. And so where do roars come from? And the spelling is pretty interesting and awesome too.
So it's nothing super special. It really just came from it actually related to what my last name was. And so I kind
Ah,
of it was like an easy way. I wanted to be like, oh, how could I make it tie back to me, which is something you don't want to do in graffiti. So I don't know why I did that.
yeah.
But I made it really tie back to what my last name was.
Okay, and so roars, you had like, and that's interesting too. Like, I had wondered if there was any connection at all for you when you were writing swirl. Like, did swirl resonate on any level with you?
It didn't. And I think that
Yeah.
from writing swirl made me realize that I hate the letter S. And to this day, I hate the letter
Ah,
S. Like,
that's
I will
so
never do it.
funny. Wow. And like that is the that I hear so many people with S in their tag, and they're like, I just wanted an S, you know?
Really?
Yeah, that's amazing. And then
I
most
don't know if
people,
I can't get the curve right or some.
hmm,
There's just something that it never has looked right with me doing it.
interesting.
It's not natural for me.
That's so
So
cool. But so Roars, so was it a struggle to deal with that S at the end of Roars?
yeah, it was, but I feel like I started kind of figuring out like making it look like a five almost, or like just kind of just figuring out ways around it.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it wasn't huge, and I feel like I didn't write Roars long enough for me to really embrace that letter.
And I'm curious about if you can tell us, kind of like walk us through what your first mission was. You mentioned that you called Let Go and that you went to this bridge spot.
Hmm.
Can you give us some details about that first? I mean, it was your first bombing mission.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't know anything. I think I went to Walmart and I picked out maybe every single color of Krylon that I could.
Nice.
Um, and I had this big yellow purse and I filled it with as many Krylon cans as I can could. Didn't have any caps or anything, just jumped in this car and I was like, this is what I have. Um, and I remember just driving to the spot and being like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Like water, and people once in a while would like canoe by, but they didn't
Nice.
really they didn't really think much of the graffiti at all.
And
But
that was a
it was
spot that had been painted before, I presume. It's like a,
yeah, it was
yeah.
painted a few times.
Hmm.
And it was in, I think it's called Renton, Washington. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure.
And that was under a bridge. You had a bunch of Krylon. I think it's amazing that, like, did you even know about like the access or the availability of all these boutique spray paints, or just even higher quality paint like Rust-Oleum at the time, or was it just like Krylon?
No,
No. Okay.
I had no idea about any of the materials. I just knew that Walmart sold paint, and Krylon was the paint that they were selling, and I was like,
Nice.
they have so many colors. This is amazing.
Gosh, and
So
in 2007, was it 2007 you said? Yeah, it
yeah,
was,
I
right?
think it
And
was
so I'm thinking
2007.
like all that paint must have had like female caps or big like chisel caps.
Oh
Like I don't even
yeah,
think they had a decent stock cap anymore at that point, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. And so you were like, "Yo, and I'm going to go paint this big Roar's mouth face thing," right? So you got like a bunch of cans of pink and did Let Go did clubs come out?
Yes, Clubs came out, or no, wait, no, Clubs did not come out. I think he was out. He was in London at this time, I
Okay.
think.
But Let
Um,
Go took you out. Who else was there?
Let Go, this guy Fen, uh, Phen, and this guy Video, Video, who
Hmm.
I soon after ended up dating for a while.
Aha. And so, and they were doing pieces, and you did a character.
Yeah, I did a little character
But it
piece.
had, yeah. So, and the teeth, were they like what did the letters look like that were the teeth?
They were more so like straight letters, like kind of TikTok straight letters.
Ah, okay.
Um, and then I just like kind of cut on top with like the lips. But I could not believe how drippy the whole piece was.
Yeah.
It was terrible, and I think I might have a photo
Oh,
somewhere.
wow. Yeah, please text it to me. That would be amazing to see. And did you sketch it out?
I didn't. I remember, I think this character I started drawing a lot within that year that I kind of took that break figuring myself out.
Hmm.
I was drawing this character, and I think that I kind of had this idea of what it would look like, and it definitely didn't turn out like that on the wall. But but no, I didn't have a sketch or anything with me. I didn't know that that was okay.
Mm.
And so I kind of just drew it from my head and did a little straight letter with the teeth. And
How big was it?
I think I went bigger than I should have. Like I think
Yeah.
I think that's what made it a little bit harder for me was that I did this like big circle and then I couldn't reach it in the end to so I would like find a rock and bring it over to step on it.
Nice.
So I think I wasn't I didn't know what the right sizes were. I was seeing what the guys were painting and they were painting huge pieces,
Hmm.
but they were also way taller than me. So
And so you're out there with Let Go and Fen and Video. And so Can you tell us just a little bit, like what is it like to be a woman out with three dudes in the middle of the night bombing?
Um, I honestly I didn't think much of being a woman only because I was already good friends with Letgo, and I feel like I always just hung around a lot of guys in high school. Like
Hmm.
I didn't really have much in common with a lot of the girls, so I was hanging out with all the guys. And so I didn't really think much of being a woman. I more so just felt like one of them, you know? So I
Hmm.
didn't that wasn't kind of on the top of my head. But obviously, you know, you have women, you have men, and there there are feelings, and so I had some feelings for video, and we kind of we hit it off, and started painting together a lot more. And so I feel like I definitely started learning even more than I probably would have by not dating a writer.
Hmm. Because you guys were together like all the time.
Yeah, we started hanging out, we started painting a lot, and I feel like that's how we met, and that's what we had in common. And
Yeah.
so it was definitely like, oh, let's go paint and let's go do this. And
Hmm.
every single time I painted, I was learning something different, and I remember just being super thankful for that, and being and wanting to progress so bad.
Has like been like being one of the guys, which I don't even like that expression, but being one of the guys, has that been a constant throughout your life?
I feel like for the most part,
Hmm.
especially for people that I know, people that I meet. But I feel like, I mean, obviously, being a girl in the scene, yeah, you kind of deal with some harassment on some level. So
Yeah.
I definitely, as I was kind of starting off, as I was painting, bombing, tagging, there was definitely guys throughout the years that would start going over me for no reason other than I'm a female, and I don't
Mm.
know if they just wanted kind of some of that attention. And so
Mm.
I didn't really do much about it. I think that, like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to fight someone.
Yeah.
So,
And you knew they were going over you because you were a woman, not because your work was toy at the beginning, but
okay, well, that too.
because I was gonna say, hey, I got painted over a whole lot for a lot of years, and
but but they did leave like some comments on the wall that
yeah.
related to me being a woman.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but I
Interesting.
think that the only way for me to really deal with it is to just not deal with it at all, and to
Sure.
just ignore it. And I think that most of the times these are young graffiti boys, and most of the times if I'm not giving them the attention, they're gonna move on, and it's whatever. And so I feel like I'd give it a month of me not caring, me not going back over them, me not giving them the light of day, and then it would kind of be over with.
Yeah.
So it was just like kind of a quick turnaround thing.
Hmm.
Um, and I would deal with it for a little bit, but I feel like most of the people that I paint with really kind of embrace it and really help me. And I feel like there's so many guys that I paint with that give me tips, but there's also so many girls that I paint with that kind of have helped me throughout the way.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you about 179 because was that the first female graffiti artist that you came into contact with?
Yeah, she was. I was super excited about her from the beginning, from when I just started learning about her artwork, and she was into, she was into like the hip hop scene, and just a lot. She knew a lot of the other writers. I think she was working at Art Primo, and she was the first person that I knew, and I actually met her again through video. He was working at Art Primo at the time as well, and she was working there. And so I met her, and I was like, wow, like I'm finally meeting her. Like this is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and we really hit it off, like at that point.
And you guys
And
had been corresponding via like MySpace and online before that, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I remember my bedroom was like full of like her sticker. I was supposed to really go out and put these stickers on poles, but it was definitely all over my dressers.
Nice. And I was also curious. Like, we didn't. You told us about the mission to the bridge spot. How did you feel? Like, regardless of like that, maybe you didn't like the piece, but what was your feeling that first night? Like, kind of when you got home after going bombing for the first time.
I mean, I felt good. I mean, obviously it's a little bit of a adrenaline rush,
Hmm.
but I felt good, and I felt safe with the guys that I was with. And I think that that actually helps a lot because I'm not gonna go out by myself in these really sketchy spots.
Hmm.
So it's kind of nice being surrounded by some guys.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I felt good, and I felt like I wanted to do more. I was excited. I was already thinking about what I'm gonna do next.
Yeah, cool. And what, actually, before we get to what you did next, do you think that there was like a level, maybe even still to this day, where the guys that you're hanging with, painting with, are protecting you in a way? Like, do you ever
Yeah,
get that sense?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I always get that feeling from a lot of the people that, especially as I was growing up and getting used to the scene and not knowing, I feel like they all kind of just had this like protection instinct, which was great. But I feel like it also wasn't needed. Like I don't think I was ever put in situations where I needed protection.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I just wondered because, like, I know I've been bombing a few times with women back way back in the day, and without thinking about it, I think I treated them a little differently. And
Hmm.
now in my adult life, I'm like, why did I do that? They are perfectly capable to take care of themselves, and they
Hmm.
didn't need my help like, climbing over a fence or whatever. And you said that you have felt that, but you were also like, hey, I didn't really need any protecting. I'm fine, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
you also said you didn't go out bombing like on the solo or like lurking in like sketchy warehouses or anything by yourself. You always went out with people.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
I yeah, I tended to really just want to go out and have someone with me. So.
Hmm. And at that time, oh wait, actually, because you said you were like after that night, like you were had the adrenaline rush, and you were excited about what was coming next or what you're gonna do next. So what were you
Hmm.
gonna do next?
I think that I decided after that I hated painting characters. And so I literally only had that one time that I painted that character. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do Aurora's piece, especially because all the guys that I was painting with, they were just doing pieces. And so I was like, I'm just gonna focus on doing a Aurora's piece. And I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I based my second piece off of a font. Like I used that as my inspiration,
Nice.
and then kind of just changed it up a bit as far as like um, some swirls or some way to change the letter form a little bit.
Hmm.
But I remember basing off of a font because I did so bad the first time.
Yeah. What type? What font was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I remember it was a lowercase serif font.
Okay. And you kind of bulked it up a little, or kind of like
Yeah, I
graffitied
made it.
it.
Yeah, and added a lot of bubbles and made it a fade. Um,
Nice. And where did you paint that piece?
I'm pretty sure I painted it in Tacoma. There was a spot called the Underworld, and it was kind of like thus it was like a legendary spot. Like so many people have gone and painted there, and it's
Nice.
huge under these bridges. So I went and I painted it there,
And was that
and I actually, because I was dating someone from or seeing someone from Art Primo, he actually brought out some nice paint. Like, and so that was my first experience with Belton. He brought out some of
nice?
that, and I remember it was a little bit more pigmented,
Hmm.
and I felt like so it wasn't as drippy as my first piece was, which was pretty nice. And I remember I was really excited about that.
Was it like kind of immediate that you started spending time with video, like after that first night?
Yeah, I think that after that, randomly, I was working at this place, and Art Primo was having some sort of like get together party at the place I was working,
Hmm.
and so I saw them again, and it was just like meeting up again, and so we started hanging out a lot after that,
Hmm.
and it gave me someone else to paint with, besides Let Go, and I would still paint with him a lot. We would all go out together, and it was kind of like a team. Every weekend we would go out and paint pieces at some different spot.
Nice. And then did you kind of did things start to click? Because I know like it can take people a while with painting to make things click. Like for instance, just learning how to cut back.
Hmm.
How was that second piece as far as technique and just the experience of putting it on the wall?
I think it was getting a little better. It was still kind of a terrible piece, but I was asking questions, and I was
Hmm.
having the people I was painting with like kind of give me some feedback and help me out a little bit because I was having such a hard time. I would never have someone come over and like actually help me with my piece, but I just wanted to know like am I doing this right? Like, how do you get such a straight line? I didn't get that for so long.
And so video or any of the other guys, they never put paint on your pieces for you, but you would just talk about stuff and then you would go back and keep refining it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hmm.
I remember he would try to like sketch some pieces for me to give me ideas as far as letter structure and things like that. And while I take a lot of it into consideration, I kind of told myself at an early on that I always want to kind of develop my own style and not take someone's and not be given a style from someone.
Hmm.
So that's why you'll see a lot like no matter who I'm around or if I'm dating someone, like my style isn't going to turn into their style. It's going to
Hmm.
still be my own, even though I'm taking a lot of cues and inspiration from this person.
Yeah, and that's like an interesting kind of mantra or like kind of MO for how you work. Because I know a lot of people take a lot of pride in actually seeing so much influence of either their mentors or their partners in their
Hmm.
work. But you kind of have a little bit of the opposite. Like you want to maintain your own sort of like identity within your style.
Yeah, I think that I've always wanted to be a little bit more original. And I think that it's also, I think, being a female. I think that
Mm.
if you see a female and they have the same exact style of this male, you're like, oh, well, that's because he does all her
Mm.
pieces or he sketches all her pieces out for her. And I never wanted anyone to think that of me. Like I wanted to be like, oh, that's cool. Like she's getting it, you know?
Yeah, you worked it out for yourself.
Yeah.
That's cool. And so that second night you did another Roars piece, but it was based on the font.
Hmm.
And yeah, and Belton must have been a real kind of not game changer, but it just must have been nice. Like you said, it was pigmented, and I presume also
Hmm.
maybe you had some caps. Even a stock cap that comes on a Belton can is a
Hmm.
whole lot nicer than like the Krylon female caps. And how did it go then? Like this is now is it 2008 or are we still in 2007?
Yeah, it's I think I mean it's around end of 2007
Right around that
probably.
time. And you said that you guys were going out like every weekend. So was
Hmm.
that sort of like was your life at that time like working throughout the week
Hmm.
and then painting on the weekends?
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I worked a full-time job. We'd go out drinking if we could during the week and would paint, tag, kind of do that stuff. But it was definitely an every weekend thing that we had like a scheduled date for all of us to get together and go paint somewhere.
Were you guys was that a crew? Were you or were you just friends?
We were just all good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so are you still living in Everett at this time?
No, I'm not. I think at this time I'm living on the east side, which is Redmond, and I'm just commuting to Seattle. So I'm like in and out of Seattle
Were you working
because my
in
friends are
Seattle?
based there. I was I was no, I was working on the east side.
Okay.
But just around this time was when I was starting to find a new job, and I found one in Seattle, and then I started trying to find a place, and I definitely moved back to Seattle at that point.
And so also, I mean, like, gosh, Seattle 2008. I mean, there was just a lot of people bombing. Like,
Hmm.
I'm curious, like, who besides the crew that you were rolling around with or your friends, like, who else were you looking at in 2008 that were inspirational or whatever?
I mean, there was a lot of you're right, like there was a lot of bombing out in Seattle, and I feel like most of what I was seeing was a lot of like BPM and 3A. And it was everywhere, like they were crushing it. And I think that while that attracted me, and while I still definitely loved the whole like the tagging, I was in this mindset of I wanted to like perfect my pieces. And so there was
Hmm.
like guys like Sneak and stuff out that were doing these amazing pieces that I would definitely gain some influence from. And it was just more so the people that I was painting with. So it was just my friends.
Hmm.
So I think I finally went out and painted with 179, and she taught me like how to blow on your drip so they didn't drip.
Nice.
And I remember like being super excited learning that, and it was really, yeah, I think that I took most inspiration from people that I was painting with, not so much as far as people that I was just seeing.
Yeah. And what was it like going out with 179, especially someone who you've been looking up to for quite a while? She's connected to Art Primo and video at the time. And then you guys went out. That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. And I think that in my eyes, I was so happy and excited to be painting with her, let alone another female.
Yeah.
And I think she never treated me like I was like some toy that she was painting with. Like she treated me like I was the same as her. And I
Hmm.
think that that's kind of what helped me. And that's why I love her so much is because we definitely have this like bond.
That's awesome. And did you guys get to paint a lot together, you and 179?
Yeah, we painted a few times, and I feel like she was at a point in her life where she was kind of winding down on doing all the piecing and really focusing on her art career.
Hmm.
So I felt like while we were hanging out a lot, we weren't painting so much, and I think that at that point I was really liking the idea of painting with another female. And I think I was on 12 ounce and I heard through someone that this girl that wrote Hands was a female, and she did some amazing pieces back then, and she had great hand styles, and I was really liking her work. And I think that I just wrote on like one of the 12 ounce threads like Hands, like hit me up, and she definitely sent me a private message through 12 ounce. And now she writes hops, but I got to know her and started painting with her more. And I think that that really kind of motivated me, because I wanted to be out and painting with another female.
You said that you really liked painting with other girls, so I'm curious what different dynamic there might have been going out with a woman instead of going out with another guy.
It just felt very comfortable. Like it felt like I can joke and say things that I would to like to a girlfriend rather than a guy that's a friend, and they would get
Hmm.
it. And I felt like we just had a lot in common. I don't know. I mean, at some level, it's kind of the same as going out with one of the guys as well.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
um,
But there was
uh,
something different, and like you said, like you could. I mean, if you could joke, that kind of tells me that there was just like a different level of comfort being
yeah.
with another woman. Interesting. Did you guys go bombing?
We were doing chill day spots, and then it was kind of me, her, and 179 that would start kind of getting together for a few times during the weeknights, and we
Oh,
would
oh,
go
you
out
and
and
Hands and 179 all got together?
yeah. Well, I
Nice.
think
She
she
changed
changed
to
her name to
hops.
Hops by
Okay.
then.
Okay.
So it was me, Hops, and 179, and we would go out during the week and we would go bombing. I think we would each try to mark out different spots that we'd want to get, and then we'd kind of all just go out together and
Nice.
start bombing. And I think that that was kind of a fun thing for us to do as girls together. And it was also, you don't have that what we were talking about previously, that like male there to kind of protect you,
Right.
but we're still very protective of each other.
Because you had said that 179 started kind of pulling back a little bit from graffiti to focus more on her fine art or her art career.
Hmm.
But did you guys did you and Hops paint together more than you got to paint with 179?
Pieces, yes. I think
Mm-hmm.
that me and Hops would go out and we'd paint pieces. There was this free wall called the Soto wall at the time, and we'd go there. We definitely started building our friendship more on kind of going out and painting pieces together. Um, and then yeah, and then it would be more so us hanging out with 179 if we're going to go bombing, or just to hang out in general because she was a good person.
Yeah. And so then what year was this? Are we in 2009 yet?
Yeah, I think that we're probably 2009, 2000, yeah, 2009 at
And
this point.
you had mentioned to me before the interview, before the recording about few and far.
Hmm.
Did that come up with these women, or did that come later?
So that did come later, but it was because of these women. So that was Sophia and Far, I think it was around 2011. So at this point, 179, she went to school for graphic design and illustration. And I because she was so successful in her art career and what she was doing, it kind of inspired me to go to school for graphic design and illustration.
Nice.
So I literally took the same course she did, and she got me in there with a letter of recommendation, and it was kind of a hard program to get into.
Where was it?
So at Seattle Central Creative Academy. And so I went into this program, and around that time, her and Hops actually kind of met with some girls at an event in San Francisco. And at that event, and I believe it was around 2010 or 2011, they formed Few and Far while they were painting out there.
Who were the other people besides Hops and 179?
There were a lot of people at the time. So I know that there was Mimi and Mags, Amanda Lynn, Miss Reds, Kay Sarah. There was a bunch of female, and then there was and it was a good mix of kind of letter artists and character artists.
Nice. And so you were just like there, and since they went to that SF event and they created it, were you instantly put down?
No, they came back, and I remember they all, as Few and Far, went to Art Basel Miami that year, and I was in school, so I was like, I'm not going to make it. But they wanted me to, Hobson 179 wanted me to go so I could meet all these girls.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was like finals week or something in school, so I was like, no, I can't make it. So it wasn't until I think 2012 where I took my own trip out to San Francisco, and I made efforts and painted with Mimi, Mags, Amanda Lynn, and Silhouette, and we painted a really great wall in this alley, and then after that dinner they put me down on Few and Far.
And I'm curious, because I think you said before that you didn't write Roars very long.
Mm-hmm.
What were you writing at this time in 2012?
I was writing Merlot.
Okay, and so how did that come about?
So I was only writing Roars for I think maybe a year.
Okay.
And I was at a bar with Let Go. And I think I remember talking to him being like, I really don't want to write this anymore. Like, I don't like it. I don't like the letter S. And I just need something else to write. And I had a glass of Merlot in my hand, and that's what I was drinking. And he was like, why don't you just write Merlot? And I think he was kind of joking, and but I kind of took it seriously, and I went home and I started thinking about it. And then the next day, I think I just started randomly sketching out a Merlot piece. And I was okay with it. It wasn't my favorite, but I was like, I can get used to this. The only thing I didn't like is that it was a lot of letters, but I felt like I could still somehow make it work.
Yeah.
So I did start writing Merlot right after Roars, but then in between that, like I switched to like I think I started writing Olive a year later, trying to
love or olive.
Olive, Olive.
Okay.
And I only wrote it for a few months, and then went back to Merlot because I realized I didn't really like it too much.
And I do try to get take people's temperature on this. Like, besides the fact that you were drinking a glass of Merlot, like, is there some other thing about Merlot that resonates with you? Like on some other level? Like, is there a connection between you and that word or that thing?
No, I kind of just liked that it kind of sounds a little classy, and it just does have a different sound to it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want something. I liked that it was kind of girly, but not super girly. Like, it wasn't rosé lace or like it wasn't. Yeah. It was something that I would like, and that would feel a little classy and make me kind of feel good about myself. And being a female. And so that's kind of why I stuck with it. But people always ask me that, and I don't really drink much Merlot anymore. And so like I get so many bottles of Merlot, and I'm just like, thank you. That's awesome. But I don't really drink Merlot. So
people gift you bottles of Merlot?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's like, it's my birthday gift every year for everything.
That's awesome. Okay, but you were just kind of like, I like that it made you feel good, and it's a little bit classy, and that's interesting to hear. I mean, I totally agree. It's kind of, I think it is a classy name. Did it also matter or mean anything that there wasn't another Merlot anywhere, or at least not to
Yeah.
my knowledge?
So yeah, it did. And I think that over my years, I've started finding Merlots popping up in other cities.
Really? Where? Is
Um,
there
th-
anyone that like really put in work?
so yeah, not so I don't really know them, and I think they stopped. Like I saw some guy that was in San Francisco that was writing Merlot, and then I saw someone that was in Jersey that was writing Merlot,
Hmm.
and then there's someone in London. But I feel like they all did it very temporarily,
Hmm.
and maybe when they heard that I was painting it, but they were better than me. Like I remember like their Merlot pieces were way better than mine, and I was being tagged in on Flickr some of their stuff, and I remember being like, oh damn, there is someone that writes it. But I just kept with it and didn't really think much of it, and didn't really care too much that other people were doing it. And I think that they kind of, I don't know who they were, but either they just stopped or they changed their names.
Yeah. And so you've been writing Merlot now for about 5 years, approximately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
And so that was 2012. I think you said that you got put down with Few and Far, and that must have been really interesting. Like I've never, I mean, just by chance, like BA crew, pretty
Hmm.
much all men, but not like intentionally. It's just how it happened to be. But Few and Far went very, very specifically, and it sounds like kind of methodically saying this is an all women crew.
Hmm.
And was that? And it must have been an important part of the whole meaning of the crew, right? And can you actually tell us about the meaning of few and far? Like, what was that all about?
So I think it's just like it comes from the saying "few and far between."
Hmm.
So I think that Mimi and K Sarah actually started that, and that was kind of their mindset around being a woman, like being few and far. But I don't know. I didn't know too much of the meaning behind few and far.
Hmm.
I think I was just so attracted by the women that were in it, and I was already a fan of a lot of the women that were in the crew.
Hmm.
I had friends that were in the crew, and I wanted something that would actually just help motivate me even more.
That's cool. Has there ever been a discussion of letting a guy into few and far?
Yeah, I think they let I don't know if they've ever let a guy in. I know that they've talked about like, oh, a mascot, which is really weird to me. But I think that who is it? So Mimi was dating Rhyme at the time, and I believe like he was painting and he like would write like few and far men's chapter.
Mm.
Um, but I don't think there's ever been talk of them like putting down a guy in it.
And I mean, now, like, it's like gender is such an interesting topic, and it's so fluid, like the all the like old ideas of what our gender is have just been shattered lately. And like, what
Hmm.
if I don't know, like, what if a trans person wanted to get into few and far? I mean, would that be like acceptable? Also, is few and far still around? Is that like a real crew still?
Yes, Few
Yeah.
and Far is still a crew
Yeah.
art collective.
Hmm.
I think 179 is actually still a part of it. And they're still doing great and doing events and things like that. I think they would, yeah, they would be open to putting a transgender person down. Like I don't think that they would discriminate at all, and I think
Yeah.
that
And,
they're
and
just for empowering women.
And so, it also must have just been empowering, for lack of a better word, to be in few and far. I also don't know. Was that your first like real crew that you were asked to be in?
Yes, it was. I had not been on anything else
And you
previously.
had mentioned that before. You're like, well, no one asked me. And so now you're at this dinner in San Francisco. That must have been really great. That must have felt really good.
Yeah, it was nice, especially because I admired these girls and I was hyped to be kind of part of the family.
Yeah. And it also sounded like that family was spread out because I think, did you mention that there's members in few and far in the UK, or was that something
No,
else?
not the UK.
Is it all American?
I think it's all American, yes.
Mm, okay.
But all over the US, like they're not all just based in one area.
Yeah. And so So do you guys, few and far crew, do you guys get together? Because it now I know also you then moved to Chicago, which we'll get to that I think in a second. But being a spread out crew like you are, how does it work as far as getting together to paint? And do you have crew meetings? How does it work
So
for that crew?
So I'm not in Few and Far anymore, but
Ah,
when I was in Few and Far, we were definitely meeting once a year for like the anniversaries, and we'd try to do like the anniversary show and paint a big wall. And then we'd all get to try to get together for events like Art Basel. I know that there would be times that a few of us would fly to some events to paint a wall that someone sponsored, probably like four girls to fly out to.
hmm.
So we'd find ways to meet up, but we didn't all meet up unless it was like the once a year thing for an anniversary or sometimes our Basel.
Is it at all weird that there may be an event, for instance, like you mentioned, where they fly you out and it's like here are four women actually doing graffiti and like we're hiring them to do it. Has that ever felt odd, or is that actually a good thing?
Um, no, I think it's never really felt odd. I think that people have been embracing women graffiti artists and women as artists, and so I think this the thought of an all-female crew kind of excites them. And like, oh, let's
Hmm.
get some females out because we're having an event and there's 50 guys painting and no females, so let's get a few females out here.
Aha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just wondered if like, there's like a feminist side of you or anyone else in the crew that's like, yeah, we're women and we're an all women crew, but we're not like a spectacle, and we
Hmm.
are just human beings. And so it just happens to be that we all are, we all identify as female. So
Hmm.
I had wondered if there was like any level of that, but it sounds like there's not. Like you were just like, it's a good thing, and you've embraced
No,
that.
I think it's a good thing, and I feel like creating a crew like Few and Far, it kind of you put yourself in that position where you're pointing people at you because you are only an all-female crew.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that they knew what they're getting into, and I think that everyone kind of just embraced it.
Hmm. And you had mentioned that. Well, actually, I should say, how long did you write Few and Far? How long were you like an active member of that crew?
I think until 2014, the end of 2014.
So you wrote it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And actually, between 2012 and 2014, you said you mentioned those anniversary
Hmm.
get-togethers or like doing a gig. How much time did you get to spend with your crewmates and get to paint together?
Well, I was painting with 179 and Hops a lot, and we would kind of throw up Few and Far a lot on our own. So we kind of like were our own Seattle chapter of Few and
Hmm.
Far.
Okay.
So we were painting a lot together, and then I didn't really paint with the other girls as much unless there was some sort of event that came up, or I decided to go to San Francisco for a weekend.
Hmm.
But I feel like we try to make times, but obviously so many people's schedules wouldn't line up, or people
Sure.
didn't have the money to meet up at certain places, and so I kind of just stuck with my Seattle people.
Hmm. And can you talk about why you stopped writing it in 2014?
Yeah, I feel like I was in this weird path where I just needed to figure out myself and what I wanted to do with my artwork. And I think I just needed that time to myself, and I didn't want to have to commit to anyone or have any other obligations. And it just, I mean, being an all-female crew, there are like people that disagree with certain things or have their own expectations or goals, and I felt like a lot of my goals weren't lining up with like the goals of Few and Far,
Mm,
and I really wanted to stop being recognized as this female graffiti artist and just recognized as a graffiti artist. And like
sure.
so I started so I mean they all understood, and I didn't leave on a bad note, and they all understood that I really just wanted to find me. And so I made myself really focus on what I wanted to do and paint a lot and paint with a lot of different people, to help figure out like what the direction I wanted to go.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting.
and I thought it was cool. I mean, now I feel like 20% of the people that either DM me on Instagram or meet me in person, they told me that they didn't even know I was a female, which
Yeah.
is kind of great that I could be recognized by my artwork and not by my gender.
Yeah, totally. And so, you had mentioned that you had different goals than they did, and I can hear that one of them was that you just wanted to be recognized as a graffiti artist, not a female
Hmm.
graffiti artist.
Hmm.
Was there another example of a goal that maybe you had that didn't really line up or align with the kind of the ethos of few and far?
No, I mean, not as much. I mean, I feel like a lot of girls started dropping the crew, and and it was a lot of the letter-based artists that were dropping the crew.
Mm,
And it was hard for me because I wanted to paint with a lot of other women that had that same love for letters that I did. And it started being where it was mainly character artists and maybe just a couple letter artists. And so and I definitely embrace all the character artists and love them and think they do amazing work. But at that point in my life, like we were painting walls to where it's just 20 different female faces and like a couple little pieces at the bottom.
hmm.
And I felt like I just wanted more out of it. And I felt like the way that we were painting together, it wasn't vibing how I'd want like a crew to really vibe and
Hmm.
really plan and really figure it out. And it just didn't really work for me. And I think
Yeah.
they understood that. And I'll still paint with them if I see them, and I'll like they've asked me to be in art shows, and I'll still send work. And it's nothing against them or the crew at all.
Sure. Yeah. But and that's great. I mean, most importantly, you kept the relationships, and the
Hmm.
ties are still there. You had mentioned Basil, and I guess I just know through privilege of knowing you and Amuse that you guys actually met down there.
Hmm.
And yeah, for those that don't know, your boyfriend and partner in crime, Amuse 126. When did you guys? What year was it that you met down in Basel?
Um, it was 2 years ago, so 2015,
15. Well, no, actually, because
2006, 14,
yeah,
actually.
14. And so you were down there. Who were you painting with, or who'd you go down with?
I went down with Hobson 179.
Uh-huh.
So I went as more of this like a fun girls trip, and let's get out of Seattle for a little bit. And yeah, so we went, and then a bunch of the few and far women met up there as well. So it was a few and far trip.
That's awesome. And was that your first time at Basel?
Yes, it
Hmm.
was. Wait, no, I went the year before with for a few and far trip.
Aha. Okay. So you had gone a
Sorry.
couple times. And also had you ended your relationship with video at this time?
No, we were still dating at this time.
Okay. And did he go to Basel too, or no? It was you were just there with the few and far
I was just there
girls.
with few and far.
Nice. And what was your impression of Basel your first couple years?
I mean, it was insane. It's a huge party,
Yeah.
and there was just so much stuff to paint. And I think the first year I didn't realize there was so much stuff to paint. I was just stuck on the one few and far wall, which we spent like the whole time on.
Okay.
And I think that it was insane to me. Just it was great meeting other writers, and it was a little overwhelming. But it was an amazing experience, and I loved like going out and just being around all of these people.
Yeah. And I'm curious also, like I don't know when you first started getting really active on Instagram. When did you first get on? Because I ask because I see your social media, it looks like a great tool for you, a great
Hmm.
marketing device. And so when
Hmm.
did you first get on, and when did you maybe also see the influence that it could have on your career?
Um, I think I probably started just before I joined Fume Far, so probably like 2011. And I was posting a little bit, sketching, doing a lot of that stuff. And it wasn't until maybe 2013 that I actually saw it actually going somewhere, and I felt like more people were following me, and I felt like I started really practicing and progressing with my style and trying to figure out that style that
Hmm.
people kind of took a little bit more notice. So I think it was around 2013, and kind of throughout being in few and far and the connections that they had, it kind of definitely helped me along the way.
Yeah, and And I think then, so you in 2014 when you were down there, you met Amuse. When did you and Amuse then start to forge either a friendship or possibly like a painting partnership?
Yeah. Well, we didn't meet painting, so we actually met at a bar. So I was hanging out at this bar with some of the other few and far girls, and I one of the few and far girls came up and was like, "Oh, there's this guy downstairs that he asked about you. He wants to meet you." And so he later that night he came up, introduced himself, and I gave him a couple stickers and he gave me some. And so yeah, we kind of just met at a bar, and I didn't really realize that he wrote Amuse 126 because I think we both introduced ourselves with our first names.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it wasn't until later that night that I found out what he wrote, and then he asked if I wanted to paint with him while I was out there. So I gave him my number, and I was like, if you have a wall, yeah, hit me up. And so I think it was just after that we didn't even I don't think we tried to make attempts to paint, but it didn't work out. And I was painting a bunch of different walls this year and kind of just like running around trying to finish them all.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I think the last day I was leaving, I think he lost his phone. So we didn't have contact for a couple days, and then I was leaving and I got a text from him saying he found his phone and he wanted to meet up. And so we met up and we did a couple of throw ups real quick before I left town. And so that was kind of like okay, we'll paint real quick, we'll leave. And we had this like friendship from then. Like immediately we immediately clicked and wanted to paint more together. And we just kind of kept in contact after Art Basel.
And then, could you have foreseen at that time that like there was a chance that you would actually leave Seattle and move to Chicago, and then that you guys might become like this, pretty dynamic duo, kind of traveling the world doing what you guys do? Was that on your radar of possibility in that first trip?
It wasn't, and I think I've always told myself that I'm always going to live in Seattle because I love Seattle and it's where I was raised and where I want to be. So no, I definitely didn't see that happening. We definitely clicked, and we at some point we just knew we wanted to kind of be with each other. And I think that he was actually going to move to Seattle, and it just randomly worked out. I think that within like a year later, my work had a position that they wanted me to fill in Chicago. And so
yeah,
they
that's just like wild, right? Like the fate, saying that. Did they have any idea that you maybe had some connections there already, or was that just totally chance?
Wow. It was totally chance. Like they were like, and it was so random because they're trying to open up an office and they're talking about like 5-6 different cities, and it just happens that they're like, we need to start this thing in Chicago, like, so what are the chances you'll go move out there and start the team? And I was like, yes. So it just really worked out, and they paid for my move, and it just made it so easy for me to be there. And not saying that that's where I'm going to be forever, but I'm happy being there, and it's kind of home base, and we travel so much that it's just nice having a city to go call home together.
Yeah, and I'm also curious about that since you mentioned travel. Like, what's it like? I mean, people are probably saying, "Hey, man, ask her what it's like to be in a relationship with a guy like Amuse 126." Like, I mean, you guys are both like, really active. You produce a lot. I mean, and not even to mention like your digital work that you do at work, but like all of the like just the paint that you guys put down. What's it like being in a relationship with two people that are so active and so productive?
I think it's great because we both really push each other, especially like there's definitely days where I'm like, I'm so lazy, I don't want to go out today. And he'll be like, no, we're going out. And so I got to get my stuff together and go. I think
he's
that
like one of the least lazy people I know, which I love about him. He's kind of got boundless energy.
He does. He's pretty crazy. But no, it's great. It's great because we definitely motivate each other and we teach each other a lot. Like I feel like since we've been painting together, not only have I been learning so much and been like really focused on details, and I've never really focused on background, but he's
Mm.
someone that really brought up like you really got to think about the whole picture, not just your piece. Like think about the background, think about the elements around you. Is there a pole? How can you incorporate it?
Mm.
So he's kind of helped me in a different level, and I feel like him painting with me, knowing that I have my own style, he's definitely started thinking more about his letter structure, and
Mhm.
trying to kind of balance things a little bit more because he doesn't want to, dumb down his work to make it go with mine, but I'm not going to change how I paint to go with his. So we kind of find this happy medium, of kind of taking cues from each other while not taking the whole thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think when he and I spoke one time about it, I mentioned him. It's like playing. There's like that saying where you like always play tennis with someone better than you, because it'll just
Mhm.
like up your game. And like,
Mhm.
and I also like feel like in a lot of different like working situations, like never bring yourself down to others, but expect them to
Mhm.
kind of bring themselves up to you. And I've seen
Mhm.
that actually, just like now knowing you guys for a little bit and like looking at the work and seeing this progression, and it kind of feels like it's always going up, and so it's very cool.
Mhm.
And then you guys started the Alphabet Monsters thing, and I want to know if you want to plug that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of slowly building, and it's kind of just our own little thing that we share together. So we paint together a lot, and we want to kind of start doing bigger murals together as a team. However, for us, it's kind of weird because we both have long names. Like this is the wall by Amuse 126 and Merlot. Like it's kind of it doesn't flow as nice, and we wanted something to where it'd be like, oh well, we got alphabet monsters out here to paint this wall.
Nice.
And it obviously derived from his name starting with A, mine starting with M. And we just kind of came up with alphabet monsters. And we both love letters, and so it kind of was just perfect for us. And the monsters is kind of just fun and whimsical, and just a cool connection. And so we kind of just ran with it. And it's kind of a slow process, and we're still kind of figuring out how we work together,
Hmm.
as far as like on a mural project. But our hope is that one day it'll just kind of come with these, and it's just something that we can share together as a team.
Awesome. Do you guys have
Yeah.
like I know we were speaking before about a job that is kind of like on the horizon for you, and but is there something Alphabet Monsters wise that we should keep an eye out for?
I mean, I think that me and Amuse are going to Hong Kong next month for HK Walls, and so we're planning on
Nice.
collaborating on an Alphabet Monsters mural there.
Awesome. And you guys have a page for it, and I mean that's probably one of the things you're saying. It's kind of a slow process. I know that you're building up followers. Is it at Alphabet Monsters?
Yes, it is.
Okay, one word.
One word.
So go and follow that. You guys do some pretty cool like giveaways, or you did a cool giveaway this summer. I presume there's going to be more of that stuff. So guys, go and follow it. Merlot, this has been really fun, and I just really appreciate you taking the time and really also just like kind of opening up and telling a lot of personal stuff, and a lot of things that some people might find uncomfortable to talk about. So I thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me. No,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
just happy that you wanted to learn about me.
It's just such a great thing to sort of put this into the soup pot, because there are so many women that are doing it, and so many women have influenced this culture. Yet
Hmm.
I feel like they just don't get their due. And I know we're like in a very weird place in the world as far as like the outlook on women. There's a war on women, and it permeates into all industries and all cultures. But it's like undeniable how much women have influenced this, yourself included. So it was really important that we get you on. Will you tell people where we can find your work on either your website or your feeds on social media that you want to populate?
Yeah. My website's pretty out of date, so I don't really have that anymore. But my Instagram is at Merlotism, Merlot, Merlotism.
Awesome. And people can reach out, people can DM you there if they want to, hire the Alphabet Monsters or buy some of your work or whatever. They can get at you that way.
Yes, that's probably the best. And there's like a little email link in the Instagram if they want to email me.
This has been great. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, thank you.